This year's commemoration came at a time when I'm almost 1 year old into the helm of this office. It also comes at a time when the Gambia and our sub-region, and indeed the international community, is working very hard to contain the uptick in drug abuse in our communities and the prevalence of new psychotropic substances, as well as the problem associated with international drug trafficking and organized crime in our country, in our sub-region, and in the world at large. Nearly every month, there are reports of entrance of new types of drugs entering the illicit market as a result of the proliferation of such substances. Prohibited drugs in the form of synthetic cannabis, crack cocaine, molly, hashish, coos, very recently, among others, including controlled drugs such as tramadol, ecstasy, clonazepam, methamphetamine, and a whole lot of new substances have permeated the illicit market and exposed our youth to such dangers. Trafficking, taking consideration of the complex nature of the abuse and dealing in trafficking drugs, it has become very, very urgent for the League and law enforcement general in this country to stand up to the occasion. As a result, when I took over barely a year ago, my management conducted a comprehensive review and assessment of our modus operandi in order to be able to respond, as it were, to sustain the gains of the past and address the challenges that are imminent. And it was evident from that review that there was a need for a very strong and strategic reforms in our processes and response strategy in order to curtail the uptick in drug abuse in our communities, and in a bit to fulfill our mandate in addressing the problems associated with drugs in this country. As a result, my management made some minor restructuring in our operational formation to address the existential threats. And the initiative that ensued saw a robust mechanism that we employed to enable us make our presence felt in every corner of this country, in our homes, in our busy districts, in our borders. And the changes, we can say without any fear of exaggeration, quickly paid dividend, as the agency was able to record unprecedented seizures in the first 6 months after our assumed office. And we want to sustain that as much as we can. Distinguished ladies, invited guests, members of the media, in terms of trying to sustain that, I would like to report that from January to December 2024, the agency was able to register 1,208 drug-related cases involving 1,219 persons. Of these, 1,014 were Gambian citizens and 205 were foreigners. So if you look at the figures, there's no illusion that Gambians, for the most part, are the ones involved in drugs in this country. Foreign nationals are also involved, were also involved last year and continue to be involved, including Senegalese, Sierra Leoneans, Nigerians, Bissau nationals, Conakry, Guinea nationals, Malians, Zimbabweans, Ghanaians, Moroccans, Ivorians, British, Pakistani, Americans, Portuguese, just to name a few. So it's a complex situation we are in this country and in the sub-region. Still on the reportage for last year, as just to show you how we want to sustain the gains of the past, we were able to also note that cannabis still constitutes the major drug abuse in this country, as 42%, over 50% of our cases are cannabis related. Then We also look at our prosecution returns for last year. We want still to build on the gains of the past. We registered 503 cases were registered. Cases registered, for example, in 2024 again, of the 1,208 cases registered, 503 were registered between January to June, and 705 were registered between July to December, showing about 42% increase in case registration interdiction rate in the in the second half of 2024, and that is my first 6 months of the year. That shows that we were able to build on the gains of the past and sustain it throughout 2024. We do hope with your cooperation, we should be able to do more. During the year on the review 2024, we were able to seize the following quantities of drugs in this country with our gallant men and women in our streets, in our busy districts, in our markets, and on our borders. We were able to seize 1 ton, 923 kilograms, 886 grams, 581 milligrams of cannabis. We were able to seize 2 tons, 254 kilograms of cannabis plantations, 14 kilograms, 700 grams of cannabis resin, 13 kilograms, 986 grams of kush, 80 grams of infused gums, cannabis gummies, 37 kilograms, 500 grams. We are able to see black chip, one tank, chocolate in the form of synthetic drugs, 1 kilograms, vapes, 630 grams of vapes, cocaine, 125 kilograms, 427 grams, 985 milligrams of cocaine, crystal methamphetamine, 12 grams, 806 milligrams, methamphetamine tablets, 18,937 tablets, clonospam, 1,000 tablets, NDMA, 104,000, which was very unprecedented, because the highest we seized per annum in the preceding years was less than 15,000 tablets. We were able to seize 104,000 tablets in 2024, 912 tablets of tramadol, 25 grams of molly, 13 tablets of diazepam, 200 tablets of gabardol, which is a new type of drug we found last year. It was never seized until 2024. And we also seized some grams of powdered NDMA. The seizure statistics and the quantity of drugs seized indicate that 54% of all drugs seized last year were cannabis. And there are some quantities of methamphetamine, hash, and kush. When I took over somewhere mid last year, kush interdiction was on the rise, and kush hospitalization was also on the rise, according to what we have at the league. But with my able team on the ground, we were able to look at what were some of the causes. We found that the borders was part of it. Our lack of presence in some quarters within our cities was also part of it. When we strategized between July and December, we were not able to address it totally, but we could report very authoritatively that kush interdiction had a nosedive from November up till now. We want to sustain that with your support, and I think my team can do that. We are yet to get official documentation from the hospitals, but the signal we have is that kush hospitalization has been contained for a while, but still there's no cause for complacency. We think we can do more. Distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, we also reviewed our prosecution processes, because the old saying, justice delayed is justice denied. Our prosecution has been on their toes. They've been doing very well last 15, 20 years. But we thought they could do better, and they did better. When we did an assessment how our value system and our processes, the Directorate of Legal and Prosecution and Legal Affairs was able to step up as a matter of urgency to expedite drug-related cases. That too paid dividend, because prosecution returns rose significantly in the second half of 2024. So within the year, we were able to register 207 cases in 2024, of which 77 were registered between January and June, and 130 were registered between July and December. So a 92% increase rate of prosecution return in 6 months. We want to thank our able team at the prosecution department, and of course our operatives who make all this thing happen. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, invited guests, it is also instructive to make some little clarification about about the prosecution in some of our drug-related cases. DLEAG as an institution does not adjudicate cases. What we do as an agency, we interdict, we investigate, and we make sure that accused persons are arraigned within the shortest possible time. Then we do all we can do to prosecute offenders in competent courts of jurisdiction. Now, it is the courts that adjudicate these cases, not DLEAG. Yes, we occasionally have 1 or 2 issues arising from some of these court cases, but that is also normal in any judicial system, as we are still able to accept and respect the outcome of every court case in this country. And where we have issues, we have always engaged the competent authorities, and we can report that such meaningful engagement have been paying dividend. Distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, DLEAG is not only involved in interdiction, arrest, and incarceration, as most people think, particularly within our communities. We have also been engaged in drug demand reduction by way of public education and sensitization like this kind of fora. The agency conducts radio programs in different community radios in the country, and our media and advocacy directorate has been organizing school visits, school sensitization programs, community sensitization, as well as capacity building for civil society organizations on evidence-based prevention programs. As you would be informed later in my chairman's speech upcoming very soon, this year's commemoration theme, for which we welcome you here, the theme is, the evidence is clear: invest in prevention. That is precisely the reason why DLEAG in the past few years have been engaged with ECOWAS for the provision of a treatment and rehabilitation center. My predecessor and his team did an excellent job in doing that, and I picked it up with my team, and we were able to, on the 11th of March 2025, lay a foundation stone for the construction of a correction and rehabilitation facility for drug-related psychosis. And that is, when it is completed in a few months' time, it will be the first of its kind in this country. So we want to applaud ECOWAS, and we want to applaud our able team here and our partners at the Ministry of Health for a very great job that is about to happen in this country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, invited guests, members of the press, DLEAG continues. We have been doing all these things because we continue to enjoy the cooperation and support of our sister security institutions in our drive to fight drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking in this country. The Gambia Police Force, thank you. The Gambia Police Force, the Gambia Immigration Department, prisons, Gambia Prison Services, the Gambia Armed Forces, the State Intelligence Services, Gambia Revenue Authorities, Gambia Civil Aviation, GRA, everybody in the security infrastructure in this country have been super helpful to DLEAG. I would like to register our profound gratitude and appreciation for this institution for having put their resources and personnel at our disposal anytime we need them. We thank you so much for that. We applaud them, but we also understand that they know the fight we are in is not a lonely battle. It's not our battle alone. The service chiefs and their competent teams do understand that our fight is also their fight, and they've been forthcoming. We thank them for that. Our development partners, UNODC, the ECOWAS Commission, the European Union, just to name a few, have been so super supportive in our capacity building programs. We would also like to thank and register our appreciation and gratitude to the foreign missions in the Gambia, including the Turkish Embassy, the Chinese Embassy, the British High Commission, the US Embassy, the Spanish Diplomatic Mission in the Gambia, the Senegalese High Commission, the Guinea-Bissau Embassy, just to name a few, for their support in the area of capacity building and mutual cooperation. We also want to thank the GRTS and members of the media fraternity, both print and online, for their support, for always amplifying our clarion call to no to drugs in this country. And to the general public, we want to thank you for for supporting us. But we also need more. We want you to report suspicious activities of drug-related activities in your communities and go further to support us address those concerns around your areas. Because we do understand that DLEAG is not operating in a vacuum. We do know we cannot win this war alone. We don't want to make this a lonely battle. We want you to be on our bandwagon. And to the National Youth Council, we want to thank you, the village development committees, partner civil society organizations, women groups, youth groups, school children, student unions across the country, and other stakeholders, grassroots organizations. We want to thank you for helping us implement our community-centered programs and activities aimed at creating healthy life for our youths and helping them make healthy choices for their future. To the President International Award, Executive Director and team, we thank you for your hospitality, for hosting this auspicious occasion. I've been made to understand that when the Public Relations Office sounded your opinion of coming here, you didn't have to think twice. We thank you for that. Finally, we want to thank my able board chairman and the Board of Governors for supporting me and my team, and very importantly, for my team of directors. They've been awesome. They've been really, really supportive to me. I want to thank you so much for that. And to our team of staff, commissioners, officer commanding SOs, gallant officers, men and women in the field, those of you who take sleepless nights while we sleep, we want to thank you. Because without you, we would not have celebrated this day. On that note, I want to thank everybody for coming here, and I want to wish you all the best. Assalamu alaikum.